Yo, welcome back to Not Another Gaming Podcast. It is episode 158. It's your boy Papa Dom. We are back live and direct once again. You heard the intro. We have the fantastic Daniel Roebuck, who did an unbelievable interview with us. That's the pre-recorded interview. We're going to have that later on in the episode. We cannot wait for you guys to hear it. It was just absolutely unbelievable. But we do have, as always, my two delightful co-hosts. First, whether he's running off coffee or Christmas spirit, he's usually the first one to get me fired up about something for the show or for the weekend. Your friend and mine, Chris P. How we doing?
What is up, my kings? You know, we got to start hyping each other up in 2019. 2020, tell your boy he has a nice ass. It is what it is. Just hype the kings up. But,
date your homies,
Date your homies. Date your homies. If you're playing basketball with your homies and you're boxing them out, stay a little longer. Show them a little love.
Yeah.
It's your boy, Chris P., the tallest and the lankiest.
Yeah. My next co-host, you know him. You love him. And at this point, I've lost count as to whether or not he's known more for ripping sleeves off of his shirt or making predictions that always come true. Dr. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing great. You know, Chris, those glasses, they're fitting nice on the bridge of your nose tonight. You know, they're looking great. I love the way the beard's growing in. I love it. I'm feeling fucking jovial after that. That was great. That was fucking great. And I can't wait for everybody to listen to it in the podcast, in the episode of the podcast. I'm feeling good, you know. Got a nice big fucking weekend coming up.
Absolutely.
And I am ready, you know.
Do you guys mind if we Rob already did his, so I guess it's just me and Dom. Can we just compliment each other really quick? You know, just hype your boys up 2020. Yeah. Bob, your beard looks absolutely incredible right now.
Let me turn my new
now you're going overboard. Now you're going overboard, Bob. I gave you an inch, you took my. Oh my god, I am hard. But no, looks phenomenal. 10 out of 10 would definitely run my fingers through it. Dom, your voice tonight, I don't know if you've been drinking water and honey, but your voice is, I hope I'm using this word correctly, sultry. Is that a real word?
Oh,
that's a real word.
That is a real word. That is a real word.
Big brain.
Absolutely. Chris, I think that hoodie looks real soft. And, your fashion sense is just A1. And, Rob, you're looking pretty trim. I know you've been changing up the diet a little bit. You're looking a little trim.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
you. It shows. Looking svelte. Before we get too lovey-dovey with you, let's talk about the weekend. Let's get right into it. We'll do a little weekend recap.
Damn, son, where'd you find this? We lit!
Chris, how was your weekend?
Dude, this is one of the most low-key weekends I've had in so long. The highlight of my weekend. Oh, excuse me. The highlight of my weekend, realistically, was just going out to eat on Saturday, and that is literally all I did. I had 2 Mai Tais, some sesame chicken. What else did I have? Some sushi, a little edamame, some crab rangoon. You know, just really treated the self. But other than that, just laid low. Played some video games. I actually was playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare with a full party with my buddies, and we were doing private matches. We were doing this different game mode called Reinforced, which is search and destroy mixed with domination, and you can spawn your whole team back in by capturing a flag. It was super fun. They got rid of it and they replaced it with fucking infection, which is so bullshit. Just never. I hate when they drop that. It's like a little kid's game mode. I hate it. But all in all, great weekend. It really felt good to catch up on the sleep and not really be hungover. Awesome. Bob, how was your weekend? What are you playing? What'd you do?
It was pretty good. I also laid super low this weekend. I streamed. I was playing a lot of Counter-Strike. Was it this weekend that I finally finished Jedi Fallen Order?
Yes, I think that was.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, finally finished Jedi Fallen Order. 10 out of 10 game. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Game of the year for 2019. It's not eligible for the Game Awards. So guess what? It's my Game of the Year for 2019, and it's my fucking Game of the Year for 2020. Okay?
Back to back.
Dude.
The first ever back-to-back Game of the Year.
It's so fucking good, and I pray that there's a sequel to this game, and I pray that there's more lore that gets explored from it. It's such a good game. I cannot praise it enough. Yeah. But I also got I got a couple of games on the Steam sale last week that I'm gonna have to finally dig into, and I got Resident Evil 2 HD Remake for $18 on the Steam sale. What fucking steal! So I think that's going to be the next game I play. I got BioShock Infinite, which I'm going to have to play at some point too, and I got Doom 2016. So I think I'm gonna. I asked our Discord, and a bunch of people said stream Resident Evil 2. So I think that's going to be the next game I start streaming for single player.
Like that. I dig it. As for me, pretty low-key weekend as well, honestly. I mean, didn't do a whole lot. Had a nice night in on Friday, watched Love Actually, got all choked up, honestly. Cooked some steaks, had a little bottle of red, watched Love Actually. I gotta always get choked up at the end when Jamie proposes to Aurelia in Portuguese. I just lose it every single time.
I'm so lonely.
Loneliness Actually is going to be the sequel that we do. It's Chris running through an airport by himself. Chris shows up at the airport, and there's nobody there, just waiting for somebody to hold a whiteboard sign for him.
There's no one there.
Loneliness Actually. But yeah, no, it was good, pretty good. One of my buddy's 30th birthdays. So one of the worst parts of pretty much any weekend that I've had in any year that I can remember existing is I was basically charged double for a round of shots that I bought. So you know me, generous guy, right? Usually the first one to offer to buy shots and go and buy a round of tequila. I prefer Don Julio. It's an accessible, decent quality tequila. You go and get a couple of those. Usually it's like $10, $12 a shot, right? End of the night rolls around, go to close my tab out, over $200 I pay for my tab. And now this is in a dive bar. It's basically a dive bar. We're in a pub. It's not like I wasn't at a casino, I wasn't at a club, anything like that. Let's just put it this way, these shots should have been somewhere between $9 and $12. The shots were $21.50 a piece. $21.50 a piece. So, Lauren comes up to me at the end of the night and she goes, "Your bill is $200." Because I was like, "Hey, would you mind just going to grab my card?" She goes, "Your bill is $200." I was like, "What do you mean? 200 American dollars?"
Canadian?
What did they charge me in? So $200 because I bought a round of 6 shots and they were $21.50 a piece. So that tacked on $120 to my bill. I figured it'd be $100 or something, but that easily doubled my bill, and I almost had a heart attack. So
did you say anything?
Yeah, I asked the bartender, and I was like, "Hey, bud, it's showing that I bought $120 worth of tequila. I don't remember buying 6 gallons of tequila. So what did you charge me for?" And he goes, "Oh, it's $21.50 a shot." I was like,
dude, I would have been so upset. I would have jumped behind the bar and shit on the ground.
I mean, I couldn't even hear myself think as it was in the first place, and that place wasn't exactly a high-class establishment. I literally was about 15 feet from the threshold to where the bathrooms were, and I could smell the men's bathroom from outside of it, and it was disgusting. I mean, I can actually, I'm smelling it now, just now that I'm talking about it, and I literally want to throw up. I had to hold my breath and pinch my nose when I went into the bathroom to take a piss because it was so fucking gross in there. It's one of the oldest bars around, so I mean, granted, it's probably got about 300 years worth of piss on the floor, but I mean, it was just a disgrace. It was just a disgrace, and I plenty of friends who are bartenders and work in the service industry, and granted, even if I'm shocked with how a bill turns out, obviously you always want to tip appropriately, so I made sure I did that. It's not that that guy doesn't set the prices. But I was literally texting people. I'm like, "What does this cost at your bar? What does this cost at your bar?" I can't remember the last time I asked a bartender how much a shot cost. You know what I mean? Because usually it's either Jameson or Don Julio for me, and it'll be $12, something like that at the most. And $21.50. So I almost
the audacity. Yeah, I mean, is it a type of place where people aren't going to be ordering tequila shots regularly, where they were frantic, what do we charge for this? What do we charge? I don't know. Just put in $20.
Yeah, just put in an extra zero on there.
Yeah, put in $20. I mean, you can smell the piss coming off the bathroom floor like a goddamn.
It smelled I was gonna say
it smells like Richardson's, and you're gonna charge me $21 for a shot. To put it into perspective, shots when I was in New York City last week were $12.
Yeah,
that's in New York City. That was in Manhattan.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, you would have thought I was at a nightclub or something like that, and I was just appalled. And I mean, granted, I mean it is what it is, right? whatever. I already spent the money, but yeah, I mean, if the place smells like a petting zoo, and it's not exactly like a high class establishment, I'm not in like a nightclub or something like that. I just wasn't expecting to pay, over $20, north of $20 a shot for something that I've.
You stopped at the bar at the recreation of Plymouth Rock Village.
Yeah, I just have no idea, but yeah, I would rather go have a drink at Plymouth Rock instead of this fucking place instead. But I won't be exactly hurrying back there. So
you know that old recreation village where they're like churning butter and like showing you how the settlers live.
Yeah,
with animals.
That better be how they made the tequila. They better have They better have like put that through Don Julio himself's fingertips as they poured it into the bottle. I don't know. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. But anyway. Let's talk about something else. I mean, because I'm at this point, I'm just getting myself all stressed out. Chris, I know you had a couple of big stories this week from the esports and the streaming world. You want to lead us off?
Yeah, so I'll start off with kind of the esports side of things. So in the quarterfinals of the ESL Pro League, most sports ended up beating Evil Geniuses in the quarterfinals, and they ended up closing out that series with a 16-0 win on Nuke. So for the people keeping score at home, that's a flawless win, which is very difficult in competitive Counter-Strike because these kids are fucking good. So shortly after they ended up winning, there was on the Mouse Sports official Instagram, they showed Woxic, who's a player on the team, getting drug tested with a mouth swab. And then there was Chris J, who's another player on the team, and Rops, who's another player on the team. They posted pictures on their personal accounts of them getting drug tested orally with like some sort of swab. So it isn't the first time it's happened. It's happened plenty of times in competitive Counter-Strike. I just feel like it's starting to get a lot more common than it used to be. My thoughts on the whole thing is, what could they possibly be testing for other than Adderall? That's the only
Adderall.
And that's the only thing. So I mean, yeah, I get it, because as someone who used to be prescribed Adderall, it's a miracle drug. You're able to focus. It's good for someone that needs it. So I get how that can help you, but any other drug that they're testing for orally does not make any sense to me.
Right.
So that's kind of my thoughts on the whole thing. Another thought I have is once something comes back and someone tests positive for these quote unquote PEDs in the esports world, they're gonna have to get creative with how they take it, just like every other sport, right? Like they try to find ways around things that are illegal. Corked bats, steroids, you name it.
Right.
If they're testing for Adderall only through your mouth, what's stopping these kids from snorting it? There's no residue in your mouth.
I'm pretty sure the amphetamine stays in your system for, I think it's 2 days.
So that's what they're testing for in their mouth is amphetamine?
I mean, they could just drug test. They could do an intravenous drug test. They could do a hair sample. The hair sample would probably be more accurate, but I'm almost positive that the amphetamine in Adderall would stay in your body for up to 48 hours.
Yeah, I guess. So do you guys think this is going to be the norm in esports, that there's going to be regular drug testing?
So, I mean, to lay the groundwork, Mouse Sports, because I did a lot of coverage on Mouse Sports over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So Mouse Sports won the CAC for their first major win since 2008. They did a whole roster change. They brought Kerrigan in as their new IGL, and Kerrigan's, he's an underrated IGL, but a lot of people like Duncan Thorin consider him to be the greatest IGL of all time in Counter-Strike, second to Glaive, who's of Astralis, who replaced him on Astralis.
Yeah.
They won CAC in a pretty dominant fashion over ENCE, and then they came back to ESL Pro League, wiped the floor with the number 2 team in the world with Evil Geniuses, who's the top NA team at the time, competing with Liquid for the top NA spot. They wiped the floor with them. It was an upset central for Mouse Sports over Evil Geniuses. 16-0 Nuke. I've only seen that happen once, and I think it was G2 playing in the semifinals, or it was either the quarterfinals or the semifinals for a major a couple of months back. I've seen that happen once. Huge upset. They're ranked 10. They beat the number 2 in the world. Then they go on to beat the number 1 in the world, and then they go on to win ESL Pro League. So I don't know if this is a new standard. I think because there was such a huge spike in like performance for these players, because these players Chris J played out of his mind. Kerrigan led the team incredibly. Waxick we've watched the ace that he had on Inferno against Evil Geniuses. It was a thing of fucking beauty.
Right.
And then Rops and Frozen, their younger players, stepped up to the task and performed incredibly well. I think of course they're not on fucking drugs. Like they're incredible athletes at their esport, They're incredible in their scene. I think it's kind of a one-off. I don't think it's going to be a norm. I don't think it's going to be a standard that's being set. I think that it's kind of embarrassing, honestly, for them to have to drug test them and then make a statement about it. But I think it's also like it shows that this team is legit. This team is the real fucking deal. And I was saying it all weekend. I want Mo Sports to fucking win.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a big Evil Geniuses fan, I'm a big Liquid fan. I can't stand watching Astralis. They're just too good of a team. I loved watching them go up against Fnatic too. But when Mo Sports went into the grand final up against Fnatic, I wanted Mo Sports to win.
Yeah.
And I think that they fucking performed.
Yeah, you were saying that a lot. You were pulling for them all weekend.
Yeah.
They murdered it, and like what I've read into the whole thing is they've drug tested with like teams that have only won by like 5 rounds.
Maybe it is a norm.
They're sprinkling it in. I mean, not for nothing. If you're taking Adderall before a match of competitive CS, you alone can't win the game.
Right.
It's a team game. You can't take on 5 people. If you're gonna like drug test, you should allow like 2 out of the 5 people to be able to take Adderall. So you have to like pick and choose who's allowed to take it that week. Like, hey, Waxick, you were playing out of your mind last week on it. All right, he's one of them. Who wants to take it this week? Yeah. Hey, Chris J, you want to? Yeah. All right, cool. So get this.
Waxick was the one who kept them in contention on Inferno, and then Chris J was the one who saved their asses on Dust 2 against Astralis on map 3. So you know what? Go ahead, let them take the fucking Adderall.
It'll be sick. It's like the steroid era in baseball. People were just hitting home runs left and right. Let all these esports professionals take Adderall. It'll be incredible to watch. It's just headshots left and right, round stops.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this before on the podcast, how they should just let esports players all take Adderall.
We should. It'll be fucking unreal. So yeah, that's I personally think it's going to become the norm, just because you're able to make big money winning these tournaments, and big money in esports compared to big money in the MLB, the NFL. Yes, they're totally different, but to a 18-year-old to 25-year-old kid playing an esport, the money that they bring home, it's a good amount of money. Another piece of news that dropped, so this is one I'll just kind of glaze over. So Tim the Tatman, Dr. Lupo, and Lyric all re-signed to Twitch with multi-million-dollar deals. Finally, they make a fucking move, and you pay the people to stay on the platform.
They all got multi-mil?
Yeah, and that's reported by Slasher.
Well, so look at it this way. I mean, Dr. Disrespect was saying I think it was a month ago, where he was explaining how Twitch was giving him money to stay on the platform. So this isn't like the first.
No, I get that, but it's like there was 3 at once. So it's not like picking and choosing every here and there. There were big announcements for this. They had nice production that went on their videos. Because to me, if I'm a streamer that built my name on Twitch, I don't want to leave unless I'm being treated unfairly or I'm like getting gypped out of money. I'm not making what I could potentially make. Then I would want to make the move. So in my eyes, they don't want to leave unless it's like a life-changing deal. And if you're already making hand over fist money, like these 3 are, they're top streamers on the platform, there's not much. They enjoy doing what they're doing. Of course, if you threw the bag at them, it's like, hey, like you get to stream half the time and you make double the money. Yeah, they would do it. But I love to see the life pop out of Twitch. 3 big signings. I think that's incredible. 3 really great creators, 3 creators that I personally really enjoy watching. Tim the Tatman's like one of the first streamers I've ever watched in my life. And the guy's the fucking tits. And then last but not least, there's the first big scandal that's happened on Mixer. that little streaming platform that's trying to compete with all the other ones.
The little engine that could.
So it was reported by Jared FPS, who's one of the top streamers on Mixer. Apparently, I don't really follow the platform that much, but from what I've read, he's pretty big on the platform. So he ended up tweeting. I'm just going to read it to you guys quickly. Story time. Can't provide message proof. The person told me not to. Mixer has all the proof. So I'm not even going to read it, actually. So there's a long thread. You could read it on wickedgoodgaming.com, but I'll just kind of give you guys the gist of it. There are partners on Mixer, and when you stream on Mixer, your viewers are able to generate sparks, they're called, which is pretty much like made up currency that you make with every minute you watch of the streamer, and you can accumulate that and give it to the streamer. You can't really turn it in immediately for like a direct cash return, but if you hit enough with your sparks, you get a cash bonus from Mixer. So these two partners on Mixer found out a way to kind of, well, they didn't find out a way. They just did the smart thing that any con artist would do. They made 1 billion accounts and they signed in on all different IPs or whatever they had. They had like a Tor browser or whatever it was. This is me just speculating. But they had all the people, all the fake accounts watching them and then donating the sparks to themselves. So they ended up accumulating roughly like $80,000.
Jesus. I figured you were going to say like, oh, they got a couple $100 each.
No, it's speculated to be $80,000 plus that they ended up pretty much stealing from Mixer in this exploit. Because another thing they did is they had a website apparently that was gaining had a lot of traction, that came to it, a lot of traffic, and they embedded their streams on it. So everyone that would go onto there, it would generate more and more sparks. So yeah, ended up taking like 80,000 plus from them. And these guys are fucking idiots. Not even because they...
No. I think these guys are idiots. Fucking geniuses.
No, they're fucking stupid, Bob. Listen to me. So what they did was they made hand over fist money to the point where like it perked someone's ears up. They were so stupid about how they did everything. I mean, pay one of your buddies, right? If I'm making $1,000 per stream, right? I can pay Rob. I can pay Dom to be like, hey, I'll give you $100 today. Just stay in my chat and talk to me. What these guys did, there was no chat, no like actual dialogue in the chat. It was only donations. And there were thousands of people watching. If you're some sort of intelligent, instead of making $1,000 a day, make a couple dollars a day. Instead of 1,000 viewers, have like 15 or 20. Build it slowly and just stay under the radar. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, in this 25 years of existence, is fly under the radar and no one will look at you twice. Just do that. If they did that, they'd be able to do it and just kind of make a slow living from there. And now they're fucked. Now they're going to get sued, and God only knows what could happen.
And he gets sued by Microsoft, no less. Not.
Hold on. I'm trying to think how they're going to get sued if it's just an exploit. If this is a system that's already created in Mixer itself, and they found a loophole into gaining their own money and their own traction, exploit all you want. They're fucking geniuses. Absolute fucking geniuses. Unless it's specifically stated somewhere in the partner like guidelines where you cannot create accounts, separate individualized accounts, I don't understand how they could get sued.
If you don't think that there's some sort of like, if you don't think that there's some sort of way that this is outlined somewhere in like a partner agreement or even in like the Mixer terms and conditions that you can't like pay yourself with other accounts, then I got some fucking oceanfront property in Idaho to tell you to sell you if you don't think that Microsoft would cover their ass like that. Also, Kenny, thank you for re-upping the sub. What's up, stranger? And Unpeeled Bananas, what's happening? But yeah, no, there is no fucking way that they would have a system like this and not be able to and not have like systems in place to make sure that they can hold people accountable if they decide to abuse it. Lorenzo, thank you for the sub, boy. Yeah, there's just absolutely no fucking way. There is no way.
It's Microsoft. Yeah. There's some
geniuses.
They're not geniuses. If they were geniuses, they would still be doing it.
Okay, well,
that's true.
There's a hard line in the sand that they crossed because they should have been more intelligent about it. I agree with you, Chris, that look, if you're going to fucking scam them the right way. Again, pay 20 of your friends $100 to just sit and chat and talk to you.
Yeah,
simple as that. But
something.
If it's an exploit and if it's not, blatantly covered in guidelines, is it illegal? Is it illegal? No.
This is like episode 20 of like Bob at Law, where he's like, "There's no way that they could get sued," and then like, dude,
I need to read it. That's the thing. I would need
news
to read
drops tomorrow. 2 Mixer partners get sued.
30 years in jail for convicted felons after stealing $80,000 from Microsoft. Dude, they literally stole 80 grand. They're not gonna get sued.
Couple $100. It was $80,000.
They're going to fucking sue the dog shit out of these kids. And you know what? If they don't, I will literally like sign up for an online law course or some shit.
Yeah. Let me fucking learn you something real quick,
oh
Dom.
Boy, I
okay.
If these kids don't get in trouble, I'm going to Mixer.
Oh,
alone.
so that alone. Oh, the thing
I'll buy a room and put fucking servers in it and have 50,000 fake accounts on different IP addresses. I'll make $1 million a day.
I think, again, me speculating, I agree with you guys. I think they're going to get taken to court. I think they're going to I think Microsoft's going to try to sue them. The thing is, where my mind is, if it's not directly labeled somewhere in the guidelines, I don't think there's actual like precedent for them to have to pay them back.
Yeah, that
you know
makes
what I'm
sense.
saying? But then Mixer could do whatever they want. They could kick them off the platform if they want.
Did they ban
there'll
them?
be 81 grand in the. Yeah, they did. They ban them, Chris? Actually,
I'm pretty sure they did. I mean,
I
I
hope
don't
so.
know why they wouldn't.
I would fucking hope so too.
So
They make an additional 80 grand before they go to court to pay for their lawyers.
that's brilliant.
Yeah, they're already gonna lose that before they even lawyer up.
Bob, you're right. Like if it doesn't say you can't do that, then I guess they did nothing wrong. Yeah,
it's a fucking loophole. That's exactly what a loophole is.
I understand that, but it being Microsoft, there has to be something.
Probably.
And even if there's like an inkling of them covering their ass by not allowing this is the first big thing that Mixer has actually had to deal with. This is big time issues, and being where we are now with streamer platform wars, and Twitch dropping the ball on every issue that happens or kind of making a big deal out of things that aren't issues. Long story short, they suck at handling things that go wrong. Mixer making a fucking point right now on this first big issue, this sets the precedent for the platform.
I don't think this is the first big issue that Mixer is,
$80,000 worth?
No, so this was over the summer, I believe. In the middle of the whole, like, I'm not going to say the streamer's name, but there were several streamers on Twitch that got away with stuff that they shouldn't have gotten away with. But at the time, there was a lot of criticism on Mixer when a lot of people were moving from Twitch to Mixer. There was a lot of feminist activists coming forward and saying, "Hey, the guidelines for clothing and appearances on Mixer is not okay. Like, we don't agree with it." And I guess Mixer has guidelines in place for streamers where it's like, we need you can't wear low cut clothing, you can't wear booty shorts, shit like that. And there was an uproar in, people who support allowing for men and women to wear what they want on stream, with minimal guidelines like Twitch currently has. But Mixer has more guidelines in place for it. That was the first big issue that came across Mixer's table. Like, it was the first thing on their desk in the limelight, in my opinion. And I think that they handled it pretty well. It's like, hey, look, we have this stuff set now. They handled it like, we have these guidelines set now. So if you do get banned, we have the precedent and we have everything here written that you agreed to. So, we're not doing what Twitch does, where, we just base it off of an individual basis. We're trying to get ahead of that stuff. So that was the first, in my opinion, that was the first real issue that Mixer had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, and that totally makes sense too. I mean, just like we were talking about, just with TOS in general. I mean, if that's, hey, listen, this is in our TOS, guys. Like, this is not a judgment call. This is not a like case by case basis. This is against our rules. And if you want to stream on our platform, you have to follow our rules. And that's just the end of that. I also think that's just the easiest way to just fucking avoid any bullshit like that. Is just like those are in the rules, and that's it. You just close the book. That is open and shut case. There was another thing that we were talking about that, this was probably a couple episodes ago that we were talking about something that was in the TOS clearly, and it was like, somebody was mad. Oh, we were talking about the kid from FaZe who got banned. And it was like, well, this is in our TOS. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, like, where you come from, who you are, how old you are, what gender you are, whatever. Like, it's in the rules, and and that's it. Here's the rules. Here's what you're not supposed to do. Here's what the punishment is that's according to that rule. This is not a judgment call. This is not a case-by-case basis. This isn't like we'll have somebody review it and we'll be back to you within 5 to 7 business days. You broke the rules, and you have to do the thing. So
yeah, do the crime, do the time.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, or do the crime. Get forced to pay $80,000 plus lawyer fees plus damages back.
I think they're gonna get away with this one.
I don't know.
I think it heads up your ass, but
Loopholes. Oh,
I'm gonna change my Twitch name to Dr. Loopholes.
Oh,
good, right?
See, and then people will never know if you're talking about Dr. Lubo or talking about you.
You'll know. It's just one.
And if you're from like the North Shore, then you probably already say Dr. Lupos. Yeah. Yeah, I love that new guy, Dr. Lupos.
Love that. But yeah, so that's kind of what I have going on in the streaming space. I'm so happy I got your opinions on it. It was good dialogue. It was fun. Good banter right there. Was it $80,000 worth of good banter? I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know.
Bob, what do you got for us? I know there was something something you really want to talk about. Something that was really tickling your gooch.
Yeah. It is being gently tickled right now. So I've been on a big horror coverage, on the website. I've been doing I not only have been covering a lot of esports stuff, specifically around mouse sports, because I'm now a huge fucking fan of them. I've also been doing a bunch of like horror coverage, and now that I finally bought Resident Evil 2 HD Remake, up in contention right now for Game of the Year, I've been following a lot of the Hideo Kojima stuff where he's talking about how his next game, he wants to be the scariest game ever created.
Oh my God.
There's an article up on wickedgaming.com. You can go read that. But yesterday, the Resident Evil 3 HD Remake trailer got dropped. And oh my God. Dom, you watched it, Chris. I don't know if you watched it, but it was mwah. It makes me so excited to play Resident Evil 2 because as someone who is a fan of the franchise, but 1, 2, and 3 came before my era, like before my generation, and the fact that my sister traded all of my fucking old PlayStation 1 games for loose cigarettes at summer camp, I never got the opportunity to play them. So earlier this year, I got the chance to play the Resident Evil 1 HD Remake on PC, and that game was incredible. Now I have Resident Evil 2, and I'm fucking super excited to play it. And then the fucking icing on top of the cake is the Resident Evil 3 HD Remaster, and it looks absolutely incredible. It looks like they're taking everything from the RE engine from the Resident Evil 2 Remake, and they're giving fans what they want, and Capcom is doing such a fucking brilliant job. They full circle coming back to form with Devil May Cry, with Resident Evil 2. All the games that they're releasing are just fucking smashing right now. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about the trailer, if you guys are excited for it. I know you two are huge pussies when it comes to horror games. I'm the only one that'll ever play them. Me and Kyle, aka Flex King, aka Noodle Arms. Did you guys like it?
Yeah.
You may be interested?
I mean, yeah.
Maybe?
I mean, so let me tell you this. For me, like before I had any other consoles aside from Nintendo. I used to like go over to my cousin's house, and he would have like his PlayStation, and he had all the Resident Evils always queued up. He was always a big like survival horror guy. He was the first one to show me Resident Evil. He was the first one to show me Diablo, stuff like that. And I was always, not that Diablo is survival horror, but it has horror themes, and the other ones used to be were a lot less action based, and it was a lot more like but yeah, so those always hold a special place in my heart and in my bladder as like games that I would like have nightmares about as a kid, and I'd be like, holy shit, these things are terrifying. And Resident Evil 3 in particular was up there as like these are images that I want to get out of my brain. These are absolutely petrifying, and obviously if you go back and play it now, it's not as scary because the graphics are a little dated and it's not as realistic, but boy oh boy does that go right out the fucking window in this trailer, because it brought all these memories rushing back as vividly as they have existed in my mind forever, and it just looks phenomenal, and I'm just so happy for the fans of the series who have just been like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like maybe like Resident Evil for me never really stuck out to me as like a series that was in dire need of an HD remaster. Like, man, we really need to just rebuild this game from the ground up, but they did it because they just figured, what our fans are going to really fucking like? This shit.
Let me go ahead and correct you right now. So after from 1 to 3 was considered the golden age of, or we'll say 1 to 4 was the golden age of Resident Evil, with Resident Evil 4 being arguably the best in the franchise. A lot of people will say 2 is, and then you have the outliers that say 3 is, and then the other outliers that say 1 is. But that was the golden age of Resident Evil. All the spin-offs like Zero, Code Veronica X, the other ones people enjoyed. But that there's a sense of nostalgia when it comes to those games, because it was more survival horror based instead of action based. Where once you got to 4, it was more action-based. It was over the shoulder, which they implemented in the 2 remaster. But it was more action-based. You got more ammo. It was less inventory inclusive, And then 5 was all action-based. 6 was all action-based.
Yeah, 5 and 6 were gears of Resident Evil.
Exactly. And then, the other spin-offs that they had were like third-person shooter, tactical cover.
You didn't like Resident Evil Outbreak, bro?
Actually, I think that was supposed to be a pretty good one.
I thought that weren't those like the MMOs, like the MMO
Outbreak, I think, was the co-op survival horror game in the Resident Evil 3 engine. Operation Raccoon City was
that was the one. That was the one. Operation Raccoon City, where it was like an MMO or some shit like that.
It was a competitive. It was like Gears of War. It was Gears of War. That's exactly with zombies in it. But then 7 came back along, and it was just a breath of fresh air in the franchise, where everyone was like, okay, they're doing something different, and my eyebrows peaked. Okay. I'm interested in what you're doing. It's first person. It's back to the survival horror roots. And then after the bar was set pretty high with 7. I loved that. Horrifying, terrifying game. Probably the most horrifying VR experience anybody could ever play. But
did you play that in VR?
I did not. I don't have the fucking balls to play that game in VR.
Pussy.
Oh yeah, I'm a fucking pussy there. But then they announced the 2 remaster, because the 1 remaster came out, I think it was like 2015 or something like that, and people loved it. That's the way you should play Resident Evil 1.
Yeah.
And then fans were clamoring for 2, and they're coming full circle. Everybody wanted this. Everybody needed it. The fans have been begging for it, and Capcom, the kings of Capcom, are just walking out onto the stage.
Real king hours.
Dropping their fucking pants and letting their dicks hang. Like, you wanted it, you can have it. Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are at the Game Awards. We're going to show you. Tomorrow, I am willing to bet there's going to be another trailer for Resident Evil 3 Remake.
You think? So soon?
Oh, yeah.
I think
Tinfoil hats. Oh,
hold on.
I think they're going to get another one. Or there's going to be like more in-game footage.
We'll give you an exclusive 2-minute look into Resident Evil 3. Nemesis was the one where that was probably the first game cover art that I saw that scared the shit out of me, that I was like, I don't even want to open this and put the disc into the console, because that's how terrifying the cover was. Brylan said hearing Nemesis say stars could really ruin your shorts. So yeah, that was a game that always terrified me, and my cousin was like, "Oh, pop it in, try it out. It's not that scary." And then I would try it and be petrified. So I'm looking forward to it. I really want to try that out. I haven't played the Resident Evil 2 remake yet. I did play Resident Evil 7. I didn't play through all of it, but I did play some of it, and it was fantastic. I mean, terrifying, but also fantastic. Big Resident Evil 4 guy, as everybody should be. And I do appreciate. What?
Dom, that's another thing that fans are clamoring about. With Resident Evil 2 HD remake coming now, we're one step closer to a Resident Evil 4 HD remake.
And if they rebuild it from the ground up the way that they're doing it, and the thing is too is like they're not just reskinning it. They're not just saying like, oh, here's just a fresh coat of paint. Like they're rebuilding it in this new RE engine, and everything just looks and feels so amazing. So I would love, granted, like, do I need it? Like, do I need it? Like I need the air to breathe? Like, no, not necessarily. I am gonna get it on Switch because it is on Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. I think are all on Switch. But would I really appreciate it, and would I probably dig right into that shit? Yeah, Resident Evil 4 remake, bro. We're one step closer, baby.
You want to hear how much of a pussy I am?
Yes.
Please.
I watched Ghost Hunters before I went to bed the other night. I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought my hoodies on the back of my door was a person standing in the corner and I couldn't go back to sleep.
Is that what why I had a missed call from you at like 4 a.m.?
Probably. I just needed to talk. I don't know. So with that being said, will I be playing Resident Evil 3? No, absolutely not. I won't. But Capcom murdering it, I get that. The trailer itself was absolutely beautiful. And the way I know that is as soon as the trailer dropped, we tweeted it out. And even people that weren't following us, they were just searching Resident Evil. And like it was just kind of like gaining traction, gaining numbers. So people legitimately care. So they were typing in the keyword Resident Evil 3 and just like getting involved in other conversations. So it's showing that people are fucking amped about this game coming out. Me personally, I don't care. I won't play it. I'm too much of a baby to do so. But that doesn't take away my ability to recognize when they're doing things right. Like Dom said, they're not even reskinning it. They're rebuilding it from the ground up. And what I asked you guys like 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the Game Awards, does a remake deserve to be up for the Game of the Year? Talking about Resident Evil 2.
Brand new game.
And that's exactly what I'm getting at too, is if it was just a reskin now, like at the time we were talking about it, I didn't think I had a spot on that list. But now kind of seeing what they did to it, I've watched more online. I've done my research and then seeing what they did with the Resident Evil 3 trailer. I think it does have a spot on there because yes, it's the same name, but this is Dr. Seuss shit, but it's not the same game.
Whoa. Get him on a fucking label.
Yo, push your T. But no, I think the trailer was great. Scary.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we're getting just I think it's been a good year for games, honestly, and on Game Awards is tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And Resident Evil 2 definitely deserves all the flowers that it's getting, and I hope that Resident Evil 3 lives up to the same expectations, because obviously like fans are all like, holy shit, we're getting more and more and more, and I hope that continues with Resident Evil 4. Give me just 1 second here, hold on.
Jay said he can't wait for Resident Evil 3.
I can't wait to play 2. Jay was actually one of the people that told me, like, play 2. Just play it.
Jay's one of the sick fucks that probably sits in his basement in the complete darkness and plays the game.
Maybe.
That's psychopath shit.
See, this is going to be hard, because when I was playing Resident Evil 7 on my Xbox, I would, like, put music on in the background, and I wouldn't play with a headset because that shit's too scary for me. But if I'm playing on my PC, I have to wear a headset. I'm going to hear all the fucking groans and grunts of the zombies and like the liquor like licking the wall and shit.
You could do like the CS Pro and just run a pair of headphones under the under the headphones.
Sorry, we hit the apparently GarageBand only does like a 2-hour recording limit, and we hit that. So I had to like stop and make a new track. All right. Well, we're good. So we've got the Game Awards tomorrow. We have a big weekend ahead of us. I mean, there's a lot of great games that are still yet to come out, both like Q1 next year. I mean, we have so much stuff to look forward to. Obviously, you guys already know that we had a excellent guest that we had on today from our personal game of the year, which was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That interview is with Daniel Roebuck, who plays the role of Grease Dredis, who is your pilot in the game, and we are going to feature that interview next. And here he is, Mr. Daniel Roebuck from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And that was our interview with Daniel Roebuck. Awesome guy. Just an excellent, just a unbelievable game too. Just really a class act all around. Was so glad that he kind of like took some liberties there to talk about his career at large, and also clue us in on some of the creative process behind bringing Grease to life. So that was really great. So big thank you to Dan. That was excellent. So we're going to wrap this up, including the interview. We've got about a 2-hour show on our hands, so we hope you guys have enjoyed it. But now, as always, we must land the train. I'll lead off. Big shout out to Daniel Roebuck. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Huge fan of the game, huge fan of Grease, and we hope it's not the last we see of him. You can check out Getting Grace the movie at gettinggracethemovie.com. You can check out the movie on Hulu, on Amazon Prime, or on gettinggracethemovie.com, where you can purchase it directly. That probably benefits him and the other crew of the film more. His book, The Audition is the Job, is coming soon, and you can also check out his other website, which is achannelofpeace.org. So make sure you check that out. Big shout out to Daniel. Thank you again for coming on. Chris, what do you got?
Shout out Danny. That was fucking fun. Real good dude. Coming from someone who hasn't played Jedi Fallen Order yet, made me feel right at home. Made me feel like no questions was stupid. It was a good time. Real cool dude. Other than that, I sadly have nothing because we didn't get any 5-star reviews on iTunes.
Damn.
Which you really hate to see.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep the spirits high. If you want your review read out live on the podcast, this is a big time fucking podcast, boys. You want to get your name out there? I mean, just let me read a few guys. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review.
Wow, put him on a fucking label. Put him on
Dr.
a label.
Seuss.
On iTunes.
Oh. I see the fucking platinum records lining your walls right now.
Let's fire. Bob, what do you got, pimp?
Big shout out to Dan. Thank you for coming on. It was that was one of the funnest interviews I think we've ever done.
Yeah.
It was, I enjoyed it so much because we got to see like a good background into the industry that, we don't typically see all that often. He was our first actor that we've ever had as a guest on the show before. We've had everybody under the stars that you can imagine.
Lots of lead game developers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure every single other guest we had was a lead game developer.
Yep.
But yeah, our first actor, and it's stuff that we don't necessarily know about. And it was fun because we got to explain some of the gaming stuff that he didn't necessarily know about, like the behind the scenes stuff that we know about video games, and the acting stuff that he knows about, what goes on with voice. So it was great having him on. It was a wonderful interview. He's an incredible guy. And I'll say it again, Jedi Fallen Order, Game of the Year 2019, Game of the Year fucking 2020, maybe even 2021. We'll see how it fucking goes, okay? Yeah. But Grease, an incredible character, an incredible game, the foundation of the character. So
shout out to Uncle Grease.
Uncle Grease. I'll meet you at Encore next weekend, Uncle Grease.
So big shout out to Dan. Thank you guys for listening. As always, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Overcast, and radio.com and iHeartRadio. big shout out to everybody who tuned in. And, obviously, if you're listening to us remotely, make sure that you drop us a review. If you want Chris to shout you out, I mean, this is your chance. This is your chance, guys. It's a very select few, a very elite group of people who have ever been shouted out by Chris. So this is a big opportunity. This has been episode 158 of Not Another Gaming Podcast. We love you so much, and we'll see you next week.